Thank you. Yeah, if you could take your screen hour, I would like to see everybody. I could only see a few persons now. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. It will actually be interesting to see your faces at this time. If you're able to turn on your video. Okay, how are you saying something? Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Before we go into the final session, I mean, it will be great to get a reaction, from one or two persons. For us as Andy staff, we are really excited about this conference and that we're able to have this year. It was really tough bringing this last year, and we had to cancel the in-person conference in Ghana. But this year has been really amazing, interesting participants. I could see that everyone is excited. But then, can we just have one or two persons share in 1 minute what you've seen so far, so that will also be a good feedback for us. Who wants to go? Is anyone raising hand? Or do I need to call one person so that we can move ahead? Okay. In all our meetings, I know Leah always mentioned that. I know Joshua will call me. So here we are again, Leah from Growth Africa. I'm calling you to actually share because I know you've been a part of this since morning.
Hi, Joshua. Hi, everyone. I knew you, but yeah, it's been quite an interesting session. Very interactive, very engaging. Just like everyone said, the networking was too short. So hopefully next year we actually get to meet in person so that we get more networking time. Topics quite relevant, especially for me, the gender lens, since we are also part of the Action Lab. Yeah, so overall, it's been a great experience. Thank you so much, Andy team.
Yeah, thanks so much, Leah. Leah has been a fantastic member of the Gender Action Lab of Andy in West Africa, and we have been amazing work in that Action Lab group. Yeah, I could see Banky's and up. For those who might not know Banky, like I mentioned earlier, is actually pioneer of this conference in 2017, which has really been a great one. So it will be great to also hear from him. Hi, Banky.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joshua, and thank you everyone for staying the course. One thing that has been, pleasing to me is that infusion of West Africa, bringing the Francophone into the Anglophone. We struggled with it at the beginning. We tried, but I think I can see deliberate intentionality in this particular conference. Even in the music, I can see that you really made effort to really fuse it. And yeah, I've been trying some Francophone music today. Very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. If you want the soundtrack, we can share with you via email. Yesterday we had about close to 50 participants during our French session. I was lost at a point and some of our staff members, but thanks to Jean and Awa, who are holding front on the Francophone end, and I believe they had a very great conversation. Maybe because we could take one reaction from the Francophone so that we can know what happened yesterday. Ibrahima, do you want to say something in just 30 seconds?
Yeah, sure. I think it was great. I think it was great. It was a great opportunity for people who might not otherwise been able to participate in such a conference to do so. The language barrier was lifted. I think it's one important step towards bringing Anglophone and Francophone West Africa closer. It's an important step. I think connections have been made. I just hope people can after the conference. And I'm confident it will, actually. So it's great. I think it's been a great experience, a lot of learning. At one point, I was like, I want to join 2 different sessions at the same time. It was very interesting. People, highly knowledgeable people, lots of insights. It was great experience, but too short, unfortunately.
Yes, too short. We need to have 2 days for Francophone countries also. Just 1 day is too short because we have a lot to share. And we just have 1 day. Maybe next time you can bring us more time.
Okay, that's interesting. And interestingly, we have the Andes executive director on the call. So your request will be met. Hopefully we can have 2 days Francophone, 2 days Anglophone in coming here. So I believe that will be put in place. And of course, thank you so much, everybody. 45 participants yesterday and about 80 participants earlier today has been a great number for this conference, especially a virtual one. So at this time, I will introduce Jules Thompson, who is actually a faculty at the Ashesi University in Ghana, to moderate the closing plenary session. So on this panel, we have Richenda, who is the executive director of ANDI. And of course, we have Bamkole, who joined us earlier. And from the Francophone, we're going to be having Ibrahima. So what we are doing now is just the way forward after all the conversation we've had. So what do we need to do? What do we need to take away from both the Anglophone conversation and the Francophone conversation? So I will hand over to Jill now so that we can take this, but I know I've taken your time. But, yeah, so sorry.
That's absolutely okay. No problem. Greetings, everyone. And thank you so much, Joshua, for setting this tone and setting the stage. So welcome, welcome back. I hope everyone is recharged. They're ready to go. We are right at the end. So can I get some just high energy? So even if you just put the celebration emoji up, tell me how you're feeling in the chat. Just like Joshua, wave your hands. I want to see that we are excited to be here, closing out what has been. Yes. Unmuting. I love it. I love this collective virtual energy. This is great. This is great because it has been. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. So it's been an amazing 2 days, honestly. I think that Andy, our team at Andy, of course, can definitely give themselves a round of applause because this is needed, especially in West Africa, of course, to make sure, to Bamkole's point, that we do become more inclusive around the works that we're doing together, and especially as we begin to grow across the continent. These are important conversations, and of course, this has been a really important time. Entrepreneurs have had to navigate so much unexpectedly, and especially for those entrepreneurs who are working in more distressed areas. How did they manage to surprise or push through what we're experiencing right now through the pandemic? So I'm happy for the conversations that have been had, everything from wellness to what happens next, to a focus on women, to climate change. We've needed those conversations. And what this session is going to be is less talking, let's say, and more actionable steps. So beyond just saying this is what has happened and it just serving as a point of reflection, but really having our panelists today share some key insights that everyone in this closing conversation can take away. And also what we're going to do is welcome you all of the guests here today. So whether you've been a participant in the conference, you've been a moderator, or you've been a panelist as well, we're going to invite you as well to ask a question. So I'll have a point where I will call for those who want to share or direct a particular challenge or ask a question to our panelists to join in. So you'll use the raise hand feature when we get to that section, and myself or Joshua will bring you virtually on stage to the microphone to share those thoughts. So like Joshua said, my name is Jules Thompson, and I'm an assistant lecturer of entrepreneurship and innovation at Ashesi University. I'm also the Ashesi Venture Incubator Manager and Operations Lead for a project that we do in partnership with MIT D-Lab called the Next I2I Project. That's what I do by day and by night, working aimlessly, not aimlessly, excuse me, long as a social impact strategist, supporting a lot of the young entrepreneurs here in their growth strategies and strategies towards doing good within their businesses. So excited to join you here and excited to be joined by Richenda, of course, who was introduced as our executive director for ANDI, and of course a part of the Women's C3E Clean Energy Ambassador as an emeritus member there, and of course joined by Bamkole, who is the founder of the Enterprise Development Center for Pan-Atlantic University, and then Mr. Ibrahima, who's the founder of the Enterprise Value Accelerator. So this is exciting panel to be joined by, and happy to have all of you here as well. So we're going to kick things off with our discussion, again, around actionable steps, thinking through what has happened over the past 2 days. And of course, I'm hoping that everyone that's joining in on camera can to join in with their questions and thoughts as well. So Bamkole, I'm going to direct this question to you. In one of your discussions, you mentioned 3 things that entrepreneurs should take into consideration as it pertains to them becoming a bit more resilient in these times. You mentioned developing a technology or technological enabled type of business, rethinking their business models, as well as the consideration of collaborating with complementary sectors. I thought those were 3 very powerful points. And I wanted you to speak more on your first point, discussion or thinking through, or sharing with us rather, some of the actionable steps that some of our African SGBs can consider when it comes to the digitization of their business. What about those, of course, who may live in areas where there aren't much, access to stable internet? How do we get them on board as it calls for moving forward towards this more digital economy, and of course, enabling them to incorporate this level of technology? Should public sector be more involved? Should the private sector be more involved? What are your thoughts, Bamkole, on that?
Okay, thanks a lot, Joel, and thanks to everyone for staying up until this time. Each time I get asked this question, what comes to people's mind is some kind of cloud technology, big servers, and all of that. My reaction is that no, it's a continuum, and that could be at the right end of that spectrum. So you could start with something as simple as taking orders with SMS. That is a process that you are putting in place. Secondly, it could be that even for taking payment, you are using USSD, which is a simple method of receiving payments. So don't think of digitalization as something too fancy. It just means that it is something that helps you in your process to reduce that dependence on face-to-face, seeing people. Try as much as possible to digitize the ones you can, not everything. Once you start, you will begin to see which other areas you can improve. When we started with training, for instance, we always thought it could be face-to-face. And if it's not face-to-face, if you're going digital, you must have a smart device, whether it's laptop or smartphone. Yes, to some extent. But last year, that thinking changed because we needed to innovate around people in the rural areas that don't have access to the internet and that still must learn. And so we started exploring. And now we have learning that is based on IVR. IVR is the interactive voice response. It's the kind of, when you call an organization, and then you will hear this lovely voice saying, if you want sales, press 1. If you want operations, press 2. Okay, so that technology has been with us forever. And then we took that same technology, because it's voice control, and we use it in the development of learning. And so today, with that same technology that does not require internet, we are now able to deploy, as of today, close to 20 business courses by hearing. But it also meant that we had to change the way or the pedagogy of our learners, because the learners are not seeing you that you are facilitating that course. And so we had to go to the experts, who are those that work in radios, because they speak with the audience and they don't see them, yet they're able to carry their audience along. So we had to break down our curriculum in such a way that the radio casters can then work with those and teach people in a blindfolded way, if you want to put it like that. But there is a methodology to it. Sometimes it means our curriculum, we have to storify them. Sometimes it means we have to dramatize them. It has to be some kind of conversational, solo conversational. All of these things we didn't know last year. We started learning it last year. And today We have now been able to produce this in English, in Pidgin, which is widely spoken in Nigeria, in Hausa, and over the next few months, we're doing it in Yoruba and in Igbo. So which means all of a sudden, we have a tool that we can use to reach as many people as possible. Maybe we are not delivering it exactly the way we would do with learning management system, but they are not being shut out. They are being included. And that's the beginning of that innovation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bamkole. I mean, brilliant point, because I think the challenge has been pre-pandemic in a way. We've been on this trajectory of trying to impede upon the concept of innovation on the continent and making that one size fits all. So the assumption or presumption that innovation or us moving towards digitization is focused on solely, and that's not to say anything bad about this, AI, robotics, things of that nature that are very big future, fourth industrial revolutionary type of drawing, when we're realizing that there are a lot of our markets that are still even coming upon the digital age. So there are certain networks that need to be established for us to even get to that next level. So innovation can look very, very different. And I think from your point, just starting or meeting people where they are to an extent is critical to their success. So I thank you for bringing that point to the light, or bringing that forward about what your team has been doing, especially in rural areas, to support a lot of young entrepreneurs, and then rethinking what innovation looks like. And so I want to move forward in talking about this space to Ibrahima. So when we talk about innovation support mechanisms, of course, this begins to allow us to start talking a little bit about some financial support, particularly when we're talking about investments and what that looks like on the continent. So Ibrahima, can you speak a little bit more to kind of the evolution of investment on the continent and kind of the championing of local investment as well? So what does that look like? And should that be included or come with some level of technical support? Do you have any examples to share with us as well?
Okay, great, Joel. Thanks for the question. Very relevant question. I mean, today we all agree that access to capital financing is of key importance for business to allow it to grow. And there has been many initiatives today in Francophone Africa to help entrepreneurs access capital and the financing that they need to grow. Much less than in Anglophone Africa, unfortunately. I mean, there's only few. If you look at private equity investment in Francophone Africa, it's exponentially less. It's so much less than in Anglophone Africa, because we don't have many investors, Francophone investment funds, Francophone angel investors, and financing mechanisms today that are adapted to the needs of micro, small, and medium-sized businesses in Francophone Africa. Yes, there are a few examples also. There are a few, I can cite a few in Senegal that have set up funds. For example, you have Teranga Capital from Investment Partners who set up a fund here in Senegal. You have WIC Capital, Women Investment Club, who set up a fund in Senegal, in Cote d'Ivoire. INP has many small funds in different Francophone African countries, Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, and they do invest in small and micro and small businesses. But one thing that you see in terms of technical support is that many of these organizations want to develop in-house their own technical support services. They don't collaborate enough with local entrepreneur support organizations. When they just source and get a pipeline of potential enterprises in which they can invest in. But they don't actually have a commercial relationship, a formal commercial relationship with entrepreneur support organizations, which I don't, and today, there is this trend, unfortunately, this trend of a lot of these investors, institutional investors, developing in-house their own technical support capabilities. I'm not sure this is the best way to move forward, actually. Today, as entrepreneur support organizations, we know, I think the level of knowledge that we have of entrepreneurs and the relationship that we have with entrepreneurs are different. Some entrepreneurs, for example, if I take our organization, some entrepreneurs, we have known them for 3 years, for 4 years, for 5 years. We know things about them that, the financial institutions don't know. They open up to us, not at the same level that they would open us to a private equity fund. So I think it is important. It will become increasingly important for private equity funds, financial institutions to collaborate more in a mutually beneficial fashion with entrepreneur support organizations. So today, for example, investment in partners have set up this program, for example, and we are part of this program to help entrepreneur support organizations understand better the expectations, their needs, and so we can work in a more mutual beneficial relationship to actually help identify enterprises that are investment ready, to help enterprises get the systems, governance system, financial management system, organizational management and planning systems required by financial institutions and private equity funds to invest in them. So yes, today there are more and more investments in SMEs in Francophone Africa. Not enough, they still need more. Organizations that I'm talking about, private equity funds that I'm talking about, maximum they do 5 deals a year, maximum, right? There's only a few of them, and they don't have the in-house capacity to do more. I believe because there's a lack of collaboration with entrepreneur support organizations. And we need more private equity funds, we need more angel investors, we need more collaboration with those investors who are in the Anglophone part of Africa. And there's space for intermediary organizations maybe to help sort of make that linkage between Anglophone investors and French and enterprises in Francophone Africa that need capital.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I mean, to me, that's a shocking number to hear that only annually about 5 deals are made, but that's a very powerful statement.
Please, I'm not saying annually, I'm talking about the different organizations that I mentioned.
Different organizations.
The capacity that they have. If you take them one at a time, you only have a handful of organizations actually today, right? In Francophone Africa that operate. But if you take each of them individually, they can, the maximum amount of deals that they can make in a year, and I'm being nice, I'm saying it's about 5 deals, right?
Well, that's still a shocking figure to kind of come back to, especially when we're talking about growth here and how we can support a lot of our enterprises on the continent, especially when we're bringing in the conversation about the Francophone countries as well. And you're saying that our solution towards this is more collaboration as well. And that's your point. And I think Bamkole was making that point earlier as well in his closing remarks from another session about this need for collaboration. And before I get to Richenda, I want to get from both of your perspectives as well. When you're thinking about this collaboration, what does that look like? Specifically, what are we talking about when we say collaboration? Is it a matter of just having a meeting, as most people may do, and then go online and we're posting, we're collaborating? How do we actually make this something that is truly effective? What do we need to have done? So Bamkole, I'll point the question to you. And then Ibrahima, I'll come to you for your response as well.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joel. Collaboration is not something that just happened. You have to be very intentional about collaboration. And so you look at the people in your ecosystem and you say, which of these, take 3 max, that can add significant value to your own output in a way that you cannot. It means they have advantage in helping you to achieve your objective. So that's the first level. The second, and I'm going to encourage all SGBs on this call to do that. Look at your ecosystem and say, let me just pick 3 that sincerely our value system, everything, it's okay, but they will help me to achieve more if I'm working with them. The second thing is to define the minimum acceptable standard. Mass. Minimum acceptable standard. You have a standard, whether it's quality, delivery, whatever it is. Establish those benchmarks and make sure that between you and whoever you are collaborating with will be able to sign off on those minimum acceptable standards. Otherwise, you are going to be lowering your own delivery output at the end of the day. But much more than this, at the very end, for even if these two are okay, the last one, which is much more important, is that your value system must align. So alignment of value system is so critical that it knocks off the first two if it doesn't happen. It's only when you have these three that you can then begin to say, yes, we can collaborate. Even if there is nothing as of today you can collaborate on, there are a number of people that will sign off on these three, yet we're waiting for maybe a joint project that we can do and deliver very well. That's okay. It's possible that we are weak on one of those three legs. Then we encourage and we work with each other to make sure that we achieve that standard while we are waiting to collaborate. So you don't get on the call tomorrow and start collaboration. It's a journey that you must prepare for. And when you get there, both of you will know. A collaboration is important, but it has to be very deliberate. Thanks.
Excellent. And Ibrahima?
Yes, I totally agree with Bamkole. I just wanted to add, I think everything starts with a meeting. Unfortunately, we have to meet, we have to know each other. Then we get to interact. Then we get to maybe trust each other. Then we get to work together. Right? So what can we do to facilitate these first interactions, these first meetings? Where can we go to find the people we are looking for? Then have this first meeting, interact, get to know each other, get to trust each other, then maybe do business together or collaborate together. I think today digitization offers a great opportunity. I truly believe that. And with our work, with the network that we have established, our goal is to facilitate the connection between the people of the continent. Africans from Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa. So the idea is that where can we go to? Andy is a great platform. I mean, this conference is great. I get to meet new people. We get this first connection. We get to interact, and then afterwards, I can continue the conversation, and we can work on building trust, finding common areas of interest, and see how we can collaborate to reach our common objectives. And I think it's digitization's comfort of our own bar. We can interact, we can talk to one another. And I think digitization offers a great opportunity. There should be more platforms for collaboration. And I think entrepreneur support organizations also have a responsibility to improve the level of collaboration between, first of all, the organizations, increase the level of collaboration between the entrepreneurs that they support. And this is one of my objectives, really, and I'm striving to that. Today, the African Continental Free Trade Area offers great opportunity for business between entrepreneurs from different regions. And I think today a collaboration will be a necessity in order to build strong local ecosystems and to build strong regional ecosystems. Andy is doing these are great steps that we are taking towards that. And I hope that after this conference, we'll continue to collaborate. And if I want to add some specific, one important thing for me would be just as little as sharing a listing of who participated in the event, what organizations they represent, what do they do. Just share that listing with all the participants can be a great first step in building collaboration. And then we can decide who we want to go connect with and maybe pursue the conversation. And I think that this is a great first step, and this is a great opportunity for us to get to know each other better, to interact, and to build trust so we can collaborate together.
I love that. Thank you so much, Bamkole and Ibrahima, because that's powerful, right? Because a lot of times we do leave these conferences excited about networking, who we've met, and then maybe a week or two after some emails, that's it, we're done. And maybe I'm more guilty of that than others on this call, but I think that is a powerful call to action about what we can do, because it becomes a point where it's no longer about having conversations about this, but having more conferences that are showing what we are doing. And I know Andy has been doing a great job in collecting the data around those who are truly collaborating, and pulling those results and those insights. So Richenda, this is going to be a great time to pass it over to you to speak a little bit more about what Andy is actually doing to bridge the gap with Francophone countries as well as Anglophone. So, and welcome as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jewel, and thanks to everybody. And let me just take a moment to say also thanks to our sponsors for this conference, Creative Métier and Site. We couldn't do it without all of you, and kudos to Joshua and the team for putting this together. I love what I'm hearing here. I mean, it really is, you know, if Andy is about anything, it's about facilitating connections and networks and shared learning. So Bamkole, I've learned from you, I've made notes about it, IVR. I'm going to be taking that to other parts of the world as well that don't have great internet, and seeing what we can be doing and helping to bring that knowledge, because that was really new to me. So just want to give a foretaste as well for those of you who might be looking to join us for the annual conference. We do have, we've secured Damilola Ogunbiyi, who many of you will know from Nigeria, as our keynote speaker for the conference. She is the CEO of Sustainable Energy for All. And you can't have reliable internet if you don't even have electricity. And I've spent much of the last 15 years working on bringing electricity to many parts of the world, particularly using off-grid solar and renewables. So I just wanted to put a plug in there, because I think she will be very motivated to elevate some of the messaging that you've been talking about through the keynote and back into her work with the UN and elsewhere. So what is Andy doing? I mean, I think one of the things that you've seen over the course of the conference is we are being very intentional about helping to support the Anglophone, Francophone convergence, and really looking at how we as Andy, as a platform, as a network, can be helping to facilitate this more easily. I mean, I've done many of you are meeting for the first time. I've worked a lot across West Africa over the last 20 years in countries like Mali, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana, Senegal, a little bit in Cote d'Ivoire. Sadly, not until Andy with Nigeria, but I look forward to coming to Nigeria as soon as we're all able to travel safely again. And often they have been very individual conversations and not really sort of finding that connectivity across the different countries in terms of investors maybe looking at one country but not regionally. And so I think that's where Andy can be playing a great role to help facilitate that. You've heard it's not only the French songs, but we're really trying to be better now at providing multi-language conferences and meetings as well. And that's something, you know, we want to hear back from you. So is it working? What's working? What can be improved? What's better? You know, we want to hear from you. And also just to say, in terms of the conference, if you haven't got the participant list or you haven't networked with everybody that you wanted to, we do have all of your information. So by all means, also reach out to Joshua and the team, and we can facilitate those contacts as well, in case, you know, you say, oh, well, that one was really interesting. So that there's that work as a network. I mean, additionally, you've heard a lot over the last couple of days about some of the programming that we're offering, particularly focusing on our 3 urgent issue areas of gender equality, climate, and decent work. Some of those that you've heard, you know, in West Africa are the Gender Action Lab, where we're looking at ecosystem level challenges, and then collectively identifying and designing solutions, which then we have some funding to help with prototyping. digitalization, we've all been talking about, and really helping organizations that have been digitalizing by choice or by necessity in different ways. We have been focusing on the workshop series sponsored by the ACT Foundation, also looking at building capacity within the local ecosystems as well. And then two particularly close to my heart as well are the work that we're doing around advancing women entrepreneurs and the funding we've been able to provide to help many of your organizations to be able to enhance their own programming. And then also the Accelerating Women Climate Entrepreneur Fund, which is newer this year as well. And I think with that fund, we're also looking at really saying that focusing on climate or focusing on green entrepreneurship and focusing on women don't have to be completely separate. We can actually do both. We can really bring a gender lens in as we're looking at low carbon solutions. We're looking at green and clean solutions. We can at the same time really be supporting women entrepreneurs in doing this and learning together about what works well, and then helping to elevate those learnings across the ecosystem as well. So I'm super excited about everything that's going on in the West African region, you know, with the leadership of our supporters and steering committee members like Bamkole and Ibrahima. And I think it's just, you know, we've got a long way to go in terms of supporting the investors, as Ibrahima was saying. You know, I would love to see much more investment in the region, much more focus on the role of the ESOs to investors. And I'm speaking as a former impact investor. There still aren't enough women there as well. And so, you know, how are you really going to be focusing on championing the women climate entrepreneurs or the women entrepreneurs across many sectors if you don't have women investors as well? Because there is a tendency, and we've been looking at this through the acceleration data from Gali, the Global Accelerator Learning Initiative, galidata.org, if you haven't seen it, that really highlights some of the challenges that we've seen across the ecosystem, not just in West Africa, but globally, that, you know, women entrepreneurs are less likely to succeed through acceleration, not because they don't have good business ideas, but because there are still some inherent biases against them. Male-led enterprises still tend to get the majority of the capital. Women may get access to debt, but not access to equity. So I encourage you also to look at the Gali data and use that in your own advocacy as well, because that's something that we're trying to highlight is these gaps are real, they do exist. This data is credible. We've been gathering it for over 5 years. And so we're going to be using that globally as well to help make that case. It's just a pleasure to be with you all. So Jules, back over to you.
Perfect. And Richenda, you touched on the topic I wanted to get on. Of course, we're talking about women in entrepreneurship as well. So thank you for highlighting those spaces for us. With the interest of time, of course, I'm going to open the floor now. I'm ready to hear from the audience. I know that you all have been listening, and sometimes when we're on the virtual side, it can be a little tiring to just listen. So I want you to give this time to actually share or ask a question to our panel as well, just from what you've learned over the course of the past 2 days, and with these three being extremely indebted into the space of SGBs and supporting in so many critical ways. Do you have any questions for them as well in regards to some of the insights you've gained over the course of this period? So please feel free to use the hand raise feature. I'll give it about 30 seconds or so for someone to kind of gather their thoughts. So if there's a question that you want to ask, maybe about the work that you're doing, you could pose it to the panel or even pose it to our closing group here. Or if there's an insight that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear that and speak upon that. So kindly use the raise hand feature. If you can't, then feel free to type it in the chat. We'll be looking for that. So give it about another 30 seconds or so to open the floor up. All right. Our audience is quiet today. I'll take it that you all have taken in a lot of lessons for today, and maybe we've done a great job thus far over the past 2 days in sharing insights. So with that, then I'm going to transition then into, and if you have the question, it comes a little bit later, feel free to ask it as well. But what I want to know from our panelists right now is just a quick, I guess, closing thought really around, what is your vision for SGB growth, on the continent? Thinking about, what needs to happen next, what are our possibilities? And maybe what's currently happening that you're particularly proud of. So I'm going to start off with Richenda and then make my way up the list. So Richenda, please feel free to share. Just what's your vision for SGB growth on the continent?
So I guess my vision is that we leave no market behind, and that we leave no entrepreneur behind. We've really focused on where impact investment flows more easily. And in some countries and markets, it's been more difficult. And so if you're a small business entrepreneur in some parts of the continent, it's a much harder journey than in other parts of the continent. So my vision is really that we can help to build the ecosystem across every country so that everybody gets the resources that they need to have the best chance to build their business.
I love that. That is definitely a vision that can work. A vision to aspire to as well. Thank you for that. No market left behind. I love that. Maybe we put that on an Andy shirt. Ibrahima, I'd love to know your thoughts. What's your vision for SGBs going forward?
It's an interesting question. I'm somebody who's passionate about peer support, peer learning, solidarity between entrepreneur support organizations. I think that when I think about entrepreneur support organizations, we still do not have the solution, all of us. We have bits and pieces of the solution. We are experimenting a lot, and I think we can learn a lot from one another. And I hope that I would love to see a few years from now that there are collaborative platforms, collaborative networks of entrepreneur support organizations who share their learnings and grow together. I think that's one important element. Another element also for me, which is important, is more solidarity, experience sharing, knowledge sharing, skills sharing between entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs have a lot to learn from one another. For the past 6 years, I've invested a lot of time, energy, efforts in thinking of ways to stimulate, facilitate, promote the sharing of experience, expertise, know-how between entrepreneurs. And I think that we have still a lot to do in that field, and I would love to see more platforms. We have built one platform of knowledge sharing between entrepreneurs based more initiatives like help entrepreneurs throughout Africa and maybe even throughout the world collaborate, help each other, and grow together.
I love that. So
and I think that, and one last thing,
yeah, go ahead. Get it in
I think one last thing is I see digitization as a great opportunity. Because the needs of entrepreneurs are evolving so fast. And digitization offers a great opportunity for entrepreneur support organizations to better understand the evolving needs of entrepreneurs, design services to meet those needs, promote those services to entrepreneurs, deliver those services to entrepreneurs, and then monitor the effectiveness and impact of those services. So I really see, in my vision is how the use of digitalization, and I love how Ben put it, simplify it, doesn't have to be so complex. And to monitor the effects of digitization is also a great opportunity again for more collaboration between entrepreneur support organizations and more collaboration between entrepreneurs throughout Africa. In Africa, in the region, it's not only for the region, it's also for the rest of the world, because I think that we are one big community of entrepreneurs, and we need to work more together and be more and have more solidarity. And I think it's to the benefit of all of us and our communities.
Bravo, and I'm happy that you actually did get to sleep that in there, just to emphasize a little bit more on the solidarity that is definitely needed. And of course, can't overemphasize, according to Yvonne in our chat, the need for collaboration across the continent. I think that we talk about it, but we miss out on the opportunity of what that looks like and how we can thoroughly engage in that. So thank you so much for sharing that as well. So Bamkole, I'm gonna go to you to close us out on your thoughts for the vision for SGB's growth across the continent.
Okay, so I quickly dropped something in the chat. It's called Misfits. I am looking for, my vision is that very soon that there will be no more barriers around Misfit. And what do I mean by that? No more barriers around access to markets, funding, support services, information, infrastructure, technology, and security, especially cybersecurity when it comes to SGBs. If that can happen in my lifetime, then I will have said Andy has done a fantastic job. But I wrote a great piece on that. It's something that I can do in another session. Thank you for a very great conference, and it's been wonderful being part of this.
Brilliant. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you so much to Angie. If you all are still online, you can see that a poll has come up to talk about your satisfaction overall within the conference and how you can apply this to your organization. So please make sure that you complete the poll, or the survey rather, that will support Angie in its work. We are excited to close out as we transition into happy hour. Of course, we're more collaborating and connections can continue forward as we produce more opportunities for our Anglophone and of course Francophone communities within West Africa to do more for the entrepreneurs. So Joshua, thank you so much for having me, as well as Ajoke and Confidence, who are also on the line. I'll pass it back over to you to close us out.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much for this great session, and thanks to all the panelists, Ibrahima, Richenda, and Bamkole. Especially thanks to Jill for actually leading this session. Yeah, thanks to everybody as well for staying this long. I know it's been a long day, especially for those who are bilingual, who attended yesterday and again today, but we believe you've had a good time. We know it's been serious this morning with a lot of content-driven session. So we're going to be having a networking event, happy hour, where you can actually listen to more of the of our music that we actually have in stock for you, and then we have some games and other things to do just to, get you relaxed after this day. So like Jill mentioned, you have the poll on your screen. Please, you might want to click on that to just let us know how satisfied you are about this conference. And I would also like to mention that we have a post-conference session that will happen just to go further, especially with our sponsor, to do a lot more in terms of considering some of the things we've discussed in this session. So we're going to be reaching out to you for you to be able to participate in the post-conference sessions. And of course, look forward to the notes. When I say note, not just the note from the session, but combining everything that's happened in the conference in both English and French. It will be sent to you with some a little bit more detailed research where we're going to be adding to that. So that will be sent to everybody some months after the conference, and also posted on our website for those who might want to access it. The last thing I would also like to mention is for those who are interested in connecting with others, please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to provide you the list of participants without email, but then you can reach out to us to let us know whoever you want to be connected with. Then we can facilitate the connection. That's our work. Special thanks to our SIPE, and of course to Creative Media. Thanks so much for actually making this happen, Lola. We really appreciate, and Glynis, thank you so much for making this happen. To the amazing Andy West Africa team, we've had a sleepless night, especially in the last 1 week, figuring out hosting like a virtual session, and of course, getting people to have the same experience. Yoke, thanks so much. Confidence, thanks so much. Christine, thanks so much. Mercy, thank you so much. Jean, thank you so much. He's a volunteer from PayPal. He's doing amazing work, especially on the Francophone end. And Howard, thank you so very much for making this happen. We appreciate everybody for putting us together. And to all our participants, see you at the other side. It's supposed to start now. So if you're able to join, can one of the team members actually drop the link? I'm sure you've received the email for the next session, but then we can also drop the link here. So yeah, listen to more of the Francophone music, Anglophone music, and let's have some fun. If you have feedback, reach out to us. Thank you, and bye, everybody.